Ladies and gentlemen, again, welcome to the Crush the Quote webinar series. A series of webinars where we invite speakers to come in, share their skills, their knowledge, their passion, such that it adds value and makes a difference to others in their lives and in their working worlds. In today's session, we are going to be talking about not letting your pipeline become a distraction. I don't know how that's possible, Manish, but I'm looking forward to how you're going to explain that. Because I don't know any sales leader, any sales organization where pipeline isn't a distraction. So, because pipeline, let's be honest, is the lifeblood of any successful sales organization. However, pipeline comes in all shapes and sizes, and not all pipeline is equal, right? You've got good quality pipeline, not so great quality pipeline. And too often, activity metrics are embraced as the lead indicator without any regard for the quality thereof. And so the distraction increases. So we have Manish Joshi, founder and CEO of Sales DNA, who is going to be leading us through this discussion today. Manish brings a wealth of experience from leadership roles at various companies like Incota and AppDynamics, where he played a pivotal role in preparing the latter for its IPO. So Sales DNA for its IPO. And he has a background in engineering, has an MBA from Wharton School, and he has consistently driven growth and innovation throughout his career. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Manish.
Excellent. So thank you for joining, gentlemen, today's webinar. So in terms of introduction, Catherine did most of it. I'll just add a couple of sentences to it. I'm the founder CEO of Sales DNA, and we built a co-pilot for sales management that helps them build world-class sales teams. And we'll look at how we can help. But the topic for today is not letting pipeline be a distraction. Okay. So, if you ask any sales leader, any manager, any rep, any CEO, any board member, if you ask them what should be the top priority for the sales team, it's all about making the quarter. It's all about living to fight another day. Everybody's heads down trying to make the quarter. Oftentimes, it's a lot of hustle, a lot of last-minute heroics to deliver on the number. A lot of great companies consistently deliver their number, but there's a lot of companies that are constantly falling short or completely missing their forecast. And that's a major problem that I hear from in the industry. The secret to long-term success of a company is to be able to balance between your current quarters, delivering on your current quarter versus building enough pipeline for future quarters. Okay. Now think of the forecast, delivering on the forecast as the urgent quadrant, and the pipeline and productivity as the important quadrant. And as I said, looking at any organization, the focus is live to fight another day, right? So managers are constantly struggling to establish this balance. And the fact that everyone's so focused on the forecast, and the fact that the forecast delivering on the forecast is a challenge, not everybody's making number in the company. Only 58% is the average quota attainment, irrespective of reps tenure. So we all know there's the quota crushers in the organization who are blowing that number away, and there's the have-nots. There's some in the middle of the road who are making or breaking that number. A lot of focus is on activities today. Sales is all about activity. I beg to disagree respectfully. I believe if you have the right kind of pipeline, that is the ultimate key leading indicator for quota attainment. You can have bad quality pipeline, but world-class activity metrics or activity in those accounts and opportunities, you're still not going to make your number. Especially when your business has long sales cycles, which is most of the B2B technology companies. A deal could take anywhere from 6 to 9 months to close. So by the time you enter a new quarter, the quarter is pretty much spoken for. And all that is left is a lot of heroics, a lot of working closely with the customer to accelerate some of those deals, do additional discounting, and a lot of things that could go potentially wrong in closing the quarter. And that is one of the reasons for a lot of frustration, a lot of anxiety, a lot of headache that causes a lot of distraction for the reps. So current quarter focus versus taking care of the future quarter, it all is extremely stressful. Having not enough pipeline for future quarters is like that ever-growing inbox, has hundreds or thousands of emails sitting in there that needs attention, but you're so busy with your day-to-day life or day-to-day work that you simply don't get a chance to clean that up. That's the distraction that pipeline causes in a typical sales rep. And oftentimes it's a latent anxiety. It's not top of mind, because top of mind is about closing the forecast. It's all about pipeline anxiety is latent, and can result into a lot of stress. Now, as I mentioned, a typical B2B organization has a lot of haves and have-nots. The stat we looked at, 58% average quota rep attainment, is an obvious indicator of the challenges that we face, right? So when you're a director of sales or a VP of sales, you'll typically have a few managers. Every manager has about 5 to 6 reps working for them. We're talking enterprise or even mid-market here. There's the top 2 are the quota crushers. The reps 3 and 4 are the middle of the road. They're attaining or missing targets by here and there. And then there's the ones who are completely missing the targets. And this is just the harsh reality of B2B sales. Now, today, when you look at pipeline, the pipeline coverage competition is done top down, and it is not working. Because when you do a top down pipeline coverage, let's say you have $100 million quarter to deliver next quarter, the typical wisdom is, hey, historically we close 1 in 3 deals, so we need about $300 million pipeline for the next quarter. And then if you have enough of that, then people rest easy. If not, then they take action and they say, thou shalt have 3x pipeline coverage. So the edict comes from the CRO, from the VP of sales, and every rep is expected to deliver on a 3x pipeline coverage. Now, this is a way to peanut butter your requirements across every single rep. And that has its own complications. It's inaccurate because some reps need 1x pipeline coverage, some need 4x pipeline, or some reps need 1.5 or 2x pipeline coverage, some need 4x or 6x pipeline coverage. So the top performers who potentially are doing a lot of great qualification up ahead and are a lot more confident about the deals that are in their forecast or in their pipeline are suddenly expected to raise their pipeline coverage from 1.5x to 3x, because that's the edict that's come from top down. Now, creating pipeline is a lot of hard work. You need to do a lot of phone calls. You need to make send a lot of emails. You need to do a lot of research on accounts, and it can be very counterproductive, especially for your top reps. So it can really frustrate your quota crushers. On the other hand, the have-nots who are struggling, for them, they need 6x or 4x pipeline coverage. So 3x pipeline coverage is not sufficient for them to succeed. So regardless of the great intention of making sure everybody has enough pipeline, it still leaves the quota crusher frustrated and the have-nots still left behind. Now, I think of this top-down view of your organization as a watermelon, right? If you are a VP of sales and you're looking at all your 5 or 6 different managers working for you, in aggregate, each manager may have enough pipeline because the top reps are making sure they have sufficient pipeline. The bottom reps are potentially filling their pipeline with low-grade stuff. What happens when the edict comes down that you need to have more pipeline? Oftentimes, reps who have attended some conference or some roadshow, they have collected business cards, they'll go enter those in the system, creating pipeline over the weekend. That's not how real pipeline is created. Real pipeline is created when you have the right account, right conversation with the right people. That's when that's a legitimate opportunity. So watermelon from the outside looks green. So to translate that into the world of sales, as a VP, you may feel like all your managers have enough pipeline, but inside those teams, there might be a lot of red, a lot of have-nots, not having enough pipeline, and that results into lower sales productivity and oftentimes missed targets. The frustration that you can cause to the quota crushers if they decide to get up and leave, or if they decide to get up and leave, that leaves a much bigger hole in your organization. So, this is a classic problem that I see. We're talking to a lot of CROs. The element we already touched upon, no two reps are alike. One rep might need 2x, the other one might need 4x, but that's just the pipeline coverage. Some reps are really good at a certain kind of, some reps might be blessed with a good territory. Some reps might have an average territory. Some reps might be good at selling into insurance or financials. Some reps might, excel at selling into manufacturing and automotive. A rep might be a process guy. The other rep might be a wing and it guy. Some rep might be good at selling really small but high velocity deals. Some reps might be really good at taking down really big accounts. Now you'll see reps in all shapes and sizes. And again, pipeline coverage number is just one element of customization, but you also need to think of you need to put the reps in positions where they are in really playing to their strong suit. So reps are humans too. No two reps are alike. And as a leader, you need to make sure that every rep is put in a position for success. Also, not all pipeline are alike. Like I said, some pipeline gets created just off business cards collected at a trade show. Some pipeline is created in a lot more depth with a lot more conversations. And that's a function of what kind of account is it. Is it an account that your company is in the company's DNA to sell to? So for example, if you don't have FedRAMP certification, and if your rep is knocking on federal Fed accounts doors, that's no matter how hard you try, you're not going to win that deal. This is an extreme example, but I'm just trying to illustrate with some examples. Where the opportunity came from? Did it come from just a business card collected at a trade show, or did it come from a partner who's highly reputed within the organization and is only going to bring in high quality deals? What kind of activity has happened in the account thus far? What is the stage-wise velocity of the account? Is it accelerating? Is it decelerating? You need to look at the sales rep and their batting average. So pipeline quality is a function of many, many things. So even if you do just bottom-up computation, it's not sufficient. You need to tease apart what is a legitimately high-quality pipeline versus a average pipeline versus a low-quality pipeline. Unfortunately, sales leadership has embraced this mantra that activity is everything. I agree, activity is everything only if you have high quality pipeline in the system. Okay. Now there needs to be a new methodology for computing pipeline, because pipeline is a leading indicator of your forecast. If you take care of your pipeline, if you make sure it's high quality and everybody has enough, every rep in the organization has a shot at being successful. And this is how you can avoid the watermelon problem. So at every rep level, you should have an understanding how much of that pipeline is low risk, how much of that pipeline is medium risk, how much of that pipeline is high risk. And based on that, and this is something it's not something a human can compute. It's something that we should leverage some of the cutting edge AI tools and techniques that are out there to tease apart the healthy and the unhealthy pipeline. With this approach, now you can tease apart manager one, who has a wide-ranging set of reps with wide-ranging set of pipeline numbers, coverage, as well as quality, from a manager two, who's running potentially a much tighter ship, is making sure every deal that goes is regarded as pipeline stage 3 and above. I'm not talking about early stage. all those deals are green, which means they are low risk. Manager 2 has a much higher likelihood of succeeding compared to manager 1. So with this approach of visibility, this level of visibility in your organization, you are really setting all the reps from rep 7 to rep 12 for success, whereas you're going to get the same kind of variance in performance from rep 1 to rep 6. And guess who's going to be more successful in the long run? It's going to be manager 2. So what does this pipeline coverage methodology look like? How do you, how do you even arrive at that? Number one, you got to look at whether what the gap is for the rep for the rest of the year. If the rep has blown away his quota with a $110 million deal, the rep is not going to be motivated to really generate more pipeline for the year. Of course, there's always those who are overachievers who are going to push harder and harder, but that rep may choose to just spend some time on the beach. So if they've already blown their quota, then there's no point in chasing them to generate more pipeline. You're going to need to look at the historical batting average of the rep, right? What kind of deals are they winning? Are they good at closing big deals, small deals, big accounts, small accounts? All those nuances need to be taken into account for. And then you take all those numbers and then you apply the quality adjustments done with the AI. That's when you compute a personalized pipeline coverage number for individual rep. And that you roll up and make sure that every manager is on target. On target means you could say, I need to make sure that at least 50% of the reps under a manager need to have sufficient high quality pipeline. And it could be, a number could be 80%, it could be 90%. You can decide what suits your organization. But with that on target number, now you can start measuring each of the managers for how compliant they are for pipeline. As a result, now you exactly know which manager is on target to deliver on the numbers and which manager is not. And this is how you can provide them more support, more guidance, and also oftentimes use a carrot or a stick to motivate them. So net, the 3 P's of pipeline coverage are, it needs to be personalized because no two people are alike. It needs to be predictive. It's predictive in terms of the quality of the pipeline. And the quality doesn't mean, oh, is it in the ICP? Have you spoken to the EB? There's a lot of tools that will give you that. Predictive means it looks at the whole picture. Like I said, the velocity of activities, the engagement from the customer, whether it's the right industry, whether it's the right size customer for you. There's a lot of things that go into the prediction. And then as a result, it becomes extremely precise. So you no longer have any pipeline blind spots. Everyone has enough pipeline in theory. Of course, you improve the overall number over time. At the same time, you can drive manager accountability. So this is, if any manager had to do all these computations themselves, they need to be a data scientist, they need to be a data engineer, they need to be really good at building reports. This is not basically this person has to be a superhuman. What you need is a co-pilot that can help your managers strike this right balance. So the co-pilot, there's 4 key pillars of a typical co-pilot that can help managers. They should be looking at deals. They should be looking at reps and teams. The co-pilot should be looking at everything with your DNA lens. I'm sure you've seen every company has its own DNA. Some companies are high velocity, smaller deals in a certain segment. The other company could be, more sales driven, larger deals, enterprise. There's companies of all different kinds of DNAs out there. And all that summary should be available in a very easy generative AI summary bot where the managers can come ask questions and very quickly get responses. So they don't need to go through 5 or 10 different dashboards, connect the dots in their head, and then arrive at a conclusion. The managers have enough going on. They have one-on-ones, they have deal reviews, they have forecast reviews, they have QBRs. They're already overburdened. What they need is a co-pilot that will constantly monitor their forecast health and alert them on the risks. there's the co-pilot needs to monitor the pipeline health so that they give an early warning, and managers don't realize after entering a new quarter that their forecast is going to be really rough. Then it needs to proactively alert on risks and opportunities. Every deal has a risk every single day of the quarter. That risk needs to be assessed every single day, and all that needs to be reported or provided in a very simplistic, easy to understand fashion. So now the managers can be really ready for any and every conversation. It's really like having a seasoned VP, data-driven sales VP who completely understands the DNA of your business and is constantly monitoring your business 24/7. So the focus of this webinar is all about delivering on the current quarter and building a pipeline for future quarters. So for the current quarter, there are different kinds of risks, right? Number one risk is typically, would you lose a deal, right? Is it a win or is it going to be a loss? And there's tools out there which will just say, okay, this is a risk score on the deal, but they really don't explain what the sources of risks are. So you need to understand not only whether you're going to win the AI Copilot is predicting that you're going to win the deal or lose the deal, but also with explainability so that you can do something about it. Now, I'm first one to admit that this Copilot is not going to understand better than what your rep understands of the deal. The Copilot is not gonna look in the eye of the customer like your rep is, right? What the Copilot is doing is really augmenting your and your manager's judgment on what's happening in the deal. So we are not going to override. Our recommendation would be, we feel there's a risk in this deal. Why don't you do a detailed deal review? And we've worked with multiple customers. Most customers, we cut down the detailed deal review by about workload by 50%. So managers no longer have to look at every deal in the pipeline or in the quarter for the quarter that's going to expected to close this quarter, but they can double down on perhaps about 50% of the deals, because we are predicting the win-loss risk in the deals, but we are also predicting slips in the deals. Now, slip is something that nobody else does in the industry. A slip is your deal is in commit, but you're basically the model thinks it's going to slip into the next quarter. So that's that. So with those, now we are helping managers understand that there's perhaps 40 to 50% of the deals that need to special attention, but we'll also recommend what deals to pull forward, what deals to accelerate from your upside bucket to make the quarter. So again, taking away a lot of spreadsheets and math work and everything that a manager could do themselves, but a manager having 6 reps and 3 or 4 deals a rep, we're talking about a lot of deals to munch through and get ready for. So that's the current quarter. The future quarter is all about bottom-up coverage to make sure that you know what the productive or pipeline hotspots in the organization are, which managers are on target for the metric you set for them, but also tease apart the healthy pipeline from the unhealthy pipeline. And this is where the Copilot, in one of our customers' case, the healthy pipeline converts at 10x higher rate than the unhealthy pipeline. And I'm sure most of the unhealthy pipeline is those, business card sourced, trade show sourced opportunities that were created 2-3 quarters ago with a close by date for the current quarter, but nobody ever looked at the pipeline. Now, once you have these reports of what the healthy pipeline and unhealthy pipeline looks like, now you can ask your reps to double click into the unhealthy pipeline to make sure that they are leaving only the high grade, high quality stuff in your pipeline. And this is how you may start making pipeline less of a distraction and more of a source of confidence that you are set up for success for the future quarters. And in case you're short on the pipeline, our Copilot will also recommend accounts that are most likely to generate a healthy pipeline, so that you can ask your marketing team or you can ask your SDRs to start banging on those doors, because pipeline generation takes time. If you have a 2-quarter away early warning, you are at least in a position to do something. another reason of reducing stress and distraction from focusing on the current quarter. It's like the Copilot is taking care of future quarters for you, or at least making sure it's tracking well. And if it's not, it's going to alert you and help you figure out a game plan. Okay. So a good pipeline obviously translates into better forecasts in the future. So the manager's playbook should be focus on de-risking the current quarter deals, pull forward the best ones, consistently keep building low risk pipeline, and make that into a habit. At App Dynamics, we had PG Mondays where everyone would be coming in, pounding phones and making calls and sending emails. And you could start tracking success of those programs on a qualitative basis and not just a volume or quantitative basis. And then you can personalize a lot of coaching KPIs for the managers so that the managers themselves know whether they are on target for certain things, and if not, what could be the game plan for them. Here's a great story. This is an enterprise security software unicorn that we worked with. This is what their quarter looked like. Our Copilot was able to predict that, although they have, a healthy amount of deals in commit, we predicted accurately that 12% of those commits were going to be losses. And then there's not only that, so 12% is a reasonable number. It's not completely out of whack. So the reps are doing a great job of qualifying the deals. But a lot of deals were slipping. 43% of their commit deals were slipping. That was leaving a big hole in their current quarter forecast. And this is where the Copilot helped them identify what are the best case and upside deals that they could accelerate. And again, this is based on the health that our Copilot identifies, the healthy deals, and also recommended what are the deals that they were going to close in the next month after the end of quarter to pull forward. And this is how they were able to assemble the quarter very quickly. A lot of this math typically we see and I hear is done by some analysts. There's no prediction power. They're just creating spreadsheets. And in one of the companies I was speaking with, they had the entire VP and CRO, entire organization meeting 3 times a week just to figure out what deals to pull forward, what deals to accelerate, and how to land the quarter. So there's a lot of energy and calories that go into this that is not front and center, because people have selective amnesia. Once the quarter is done, people start with the same kind of energy all over again. And on the pipeline side, we were, as I mentioned earlier, we were able to tease apart, the Copilot was able to tease apart healthy pipeline, which was converting at 10x or 38%, whereas the unhealthy pipeline was converting only at 3.8%. And I'm 100% convinced that 3.8% was a lot of just part of the pipeline creation. Whenever there's pipeline shortage, is the higher grade pipeline that is converting at a reasonable rate. And then we are able to highlight that they were entering new quarters with low healthy pipeline, like 20 to 25%, which is not good. And that's where the battles begin. If you don't have enough healthy pipeline, then you have to make up for the rest of the number. And that's where all the hustle begins and the craziness begins. And it's all about what can you pull in, all the VPs joining calls, all those conversations can be a total mess. We also looked at that data historically. Only 18% of the reps were entering the quarter with sufficient healthy pipeline. And this is a front and center example of the watermelon analogy that we discussed. All these problems, gentlemen, can be solved. It's just a matter of having somebody watching this like a hawk and alerting you on these issues in time so that you can do something about it. So with that, don't let your pipeline be a distraction. You can purely focus on your current quarter forecast. Let the Copilot take care of your forecast for you so that you can build a world-class sales team while balancing the tricky balance of current quarter and forecast, or the urgent versus the important.
Yeah, quick question, Manish. What do you do? One of the constant issues I've experienced is that forecast rolls from quarter to quarter. So you get a look at the next quarter, like the reps are looking in the quarter, they look at some deals and they think, yeah, I'll just move this one out, right? So you get next quarter looks huge, but the reality is it's just stuff that's rolled quarter to quarter. Does Sales DNA help that in some way? Do you clean out, or is there ways to get rid of deals that are not, that have constantly rolled, as an example?
Yeah. Great question, Greg. So yes, we do. Our health metric, or the health score, includes the age of the deal, the velocity at which it has moved from one stage to another. If it's been stuck in a stage for a very long time, like stage 1 or stage 2, discovery, consensus, right? It can, it will affect our assessment of the deal. So all these things are built into our assessment of the quality of the deal, right? Now, as part of the explainability, we can tell you whether the velocity was off the mark, or within bounds or out of bounds. That's one way to do it. As we said, we can tease apart healthy pipeline and unhealthy pipeline. You should absolutely have sufficient healthy pipeline, but you should have the managers look at the unhealthy pipeline in detail. So rather than making a vague request to the rep saying, clean up your pipeline, you can send the specific deals that look unhealthy, and you can actually hold them accountable to see whether it's a legitimate deal or not. So rather than looking at, a rep looking at 50 or 100 deals, you can whittle that list down to 40 or 50 deals. So now it's a lot more manageable. It's not as overwhelming. Anytime reps get overwhelmed, they push it out for another day.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Manish, there's a question in the chat from Stephen. What data sources are you using?
So we use Salesforce CRM data, and it could be any CRM, by the way. But most of our customers, since they are like mid to large size customers, typically the system is Salesforce. All we need is read-only access to your CRM system. We ingest that data, we put it into our SOC 2 compliant AWS-based Copilot platform, and then we take it from there. So our data pipelines run automatically. They compute all the key metrics bottom up. We have really sophisticated algorithms that will predict the wins, the losses, the slips, the health of the pipeline, the health of the rep, team health. We'll do all those computations, and we'll light them up in a UI for you. So it's a very low lift for the organization. We've heard it so many times. They love the idea, but they said, Manish, we just don't have the bandwidth. So we've taken away all the overhead that a typical sales tool will have on your teams. What we do is we only ask for read-only access to your CRM system, and then we take it from there. You will come back and ask a few questions about your stages or there's always some remnant stages, or we'll have some clarifying questions, but that should be like a 10 to 30 minute conversation. Beyond that, we'll come back to you with our Copilot findings.
And Manish, just following on from that, slightly related, will the Copilot replace all the CRM dashboards that companies use?
Yes, eventually, yes. So the vision that we are building towards, really, gentlemen, and lady, Catherine.
That's okay.
And Enli too. So the vision we are building towards is really to have sales managers get these dashboards, get these summarized reports in their inbox when they need it. So for example, Greg is my VP, and Greg has a one-on-one with me. Greg should get a summarized report from the Copilot about everything he needs to know about Manish's business and what kind of questions he should be asking. So questions in terms of where are the risks, what are the deals that are risky, how is Manish going to make his forecast, all that we are working towards summarizing all that. So Greg literally should open the email, read those the summary, and be ready for a one-on-one with me. The same way, if Greg is working for Stefan here, and Stefan wants to know what Greg's team's performance is, Stefan should get a report, but Greg also should get a report, and hopefully identical, or at different calibration of information, but they should walk into the meeting, open the report, and have a conversation around it. That's how simple and automated it should be. Today, each one of us, all three of us, are going and opening dashboards in Salesforce, trying to connect the dots in our heads. Greg is thinking, should I believe Manish? Because Manish's batting average of commit deals is only 50%, right?
Right.
But he doesn't have that information walking around in his head. So he has to go eyeball Manish's deals from last quarter or last fiscal year to see where Manish typically lands.
Right.
And especially if there's a new manager coming in, right, a new CRO who needs to understand the personalities in the organization. What do? They do a road show, and they'll talk to a few reps, and they'll figure out, who are the top performers. That takes a lot of effort. A Copilot will give you literally within a few clicks, you can drill all the way down to a rep, even a CRO can, and see who's on target, which leaders are missing, on target or not, who are the reps who have enough pipeline, what are the regions. All this information should be prepared in a way that can help business decisions, not the other way around.
Exactly.
The whole system is inverted right now.
Quick question. When we talk about the pipeline for the sellers, right? The pipeline, the open opportunities, I think I usually see it as 80-20. So 80% of the pipeline you have to nurture, and 20% is active buy. Like it's an active sales cycle. And I've always seen the sellers are usually focused on the active buy, right? They don't spend time nurturing the pipeline. But I think the real deal is qualification of that, right? It's a step further, like in tofu, before it comes to your pipeline. How do you know whether the lead that is coming in, is it the right persona? Is it the right kind of account? Because you also said that, Copilot will recommend accounts where you can get healthy pipeline. Like, I think the whole conversation is about what is a healthy pipeline. So how do you rather than kicking the problem from a lead to a pipeline and putting it there, do you also see Copilot solving that problem, that targeting the right accounts and right lead, the right persona, so that I actually get a legit pipeline and not sitting on something that I'll actually close at the end of the quarter?
Yes, so great question. So the CRM system typically has all the accounts, right? What are the key entities in a CRM? Is the accounts, then there's the leads, there's the sales marketing activity, sales activity, then there's the opportunities, and then the opportunities, and there's the reps who are working on the opportunities. So we look at the entire picture. We look at what kind of accounts have a propensity to generate high quality pipeline, because a lot of tools will just are just focused on your pipeline or your forecast. Most tools are focused just landing on the forecast, and rightfully so, because that's where the urgency is. But nobody's looking at the problem more holistically. So when we look at where you won, we automatically include in the analysis, what kind of accounts are you going after, right? What kind of industries, what size customers, how many employees, how much revenue, all that information typically comes from ZoomInfo somewhere, right? And it's already typically in your CRM system. And then we basically see what's kind of activities have happened on the lead or opportunity in this case, what kind of sales activities have happened, who's the sales rep who's working on it. So it's a complete picture of what's happening. It's not an isolated bottom of the funnel picture. We look at the entire picture. Now, the reason we don't do for leads is because our sole focus is on helping sellers and sales management. That's where the most urgency is. We all seen, and I've been a CMO myself, and I feel I feel equally responsible, or I've experienced the problem in some ways, where marketing generates a lot of leads, but a lot of leads may not be the right ICP, like you said, may not be the right person. All that information is sitting in the CRM, and we ingest all that to formulate our recommendation. Does that answer your question, Kush?
Yeah, Manish, thanks for that. Thanks.
There is another question for you, Manish, in the chat. Can you please explain how Sales DNA helps identify the best accounts to generate more pipe? Maybe that's part of the same question that you've just chatted about.
Yeah, I did. So we, again, just to summarize, we look at the historical wins that you have in your company. Where are they? What kind of accounts? And we all tie that information together. Again, we are not tied to Salesforce. We could work with HubSpot as well. But if you have, let me read the question again, Stefan.
Yeah, but at a high level, so I understand you can go based on historical wins, based on higher propensity, wins based on rep behavior, based on success. Would you take this and apply whatever learning you come up with, and then apply this to a list of maybe go-to-market accounts, ICPs, and so forth, to extract some kind of directionally correct estimate or something like this. So in other words, is it primarily based on what's happening on the sales side? Is it also based on what's happening on the pipe create side, and also based on lead generation? So I'm just trying to get a better sense for how broad it can be, and if it's just more than just actual sales data.
So we look at the whole data. Today we don't. We'll recommend what accounts you go after, because that's what SDRs can do for you. That's what marketing can do for you, because that's really the source where the opportunity quality is coming from, right? We don't recommend which leads to focus on. Today we don't, but that's something we plan to grow into. So we think of calling that as like a marketing DNA module, which will tell you which accounts to target and which marketing activities to target them with.
With that, I'm going to say good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world, and wish you a great day, great night, great afternoon, and look forward to having you on our next webinar. Thank you, Manish, for your time.